Q and I just got back from camping and we had such a lovely time. It was actually my first time camping in Ontario and my first time camping since I've been vegan. I think the last time I went was about 7 or 8 years ago in Hong Kong. So when I was preparing for this trip, I had two things in mind. What can I prep beforehand to make our lives so much easier once we get there? And also what can I prep beforehand so that we don't need a lot of kitchen equipment? I wanted to make the food situation as simple as possible. So with those two things in mind, I did a little mini meal prep, which I'm gonna take you through today. And at the end, I'm also going to share with you some of the problems I encountered and what I will definitely do differently for next time. So make sure you stick around for that. And with that, let's get started. I did want to make sure we had some fruits and veggies while we were there. And I thought those also make a really good snack. So I'm just starting off by washing some strawberries, grapes, and some veggies for snacking. For the watermelon, I just decided to cut it into cubes because I find it's one of the easiest ways to cut watermelons, and also it's really good for snacking. For breakfast, I decided to do overnight oats for myself. My husband Q really doesn't like overnight oats, and he said he would eat them while we were camping, but I wanted him to enjoy his breakfast. So I decided to do just overnight oats for myself and then do some yogurt and granola for him. And the overnight oats actually worked out pretty well as a breakfast option. You can pre-chop and add in all your fruit plus flax and chia if you want, and then it's ready to eat. You just open it and eat it with a spoon. So as long as you have access to a cooler, I think it's a pretty good option. And if you do want any of these recipes, I will link them all down below. I also decided to make an Orzo salad. We have been eating this Orzo salad basically all summer. Both my husband and I really like it. And it's super customizable. You can add in whatever kind of veggies you like. And not only that, you can eat it both as a pasta salad or as a soup, which we actually ended up doing. So it was really nice because then you have both a hot or a cold option. For lunch, I decided to do a cold sandwich option, which we don't eat that often, but I thought it would be fun. So I picked up some vegan cheese as well as some vegan deli meat. And pro tip, when you're slicing something, just slice the whole thing. It will make it so much easier to use later on. And I actually only took a small amount of this cheese, and the leftovers I just kept for later use. Same with the vegan turkey, I just counted out how many pieces I would put on a sandwich and left the rest at home. I also knew I would want some toppings on my sandwich, so I made sure to bring some pickles, some lettuce, and some red onion. And for one of our dinner options, I knew I would be turning the Orzo salad into a soup, so I decided to bring some extra frozen veggies as well to boost up the nutritional value of that soup a little bit. And also these frozen veggies ended up doubling as another ice pack in our cooler. So the great thing about these is you don't need to really cook them. You can just add them straight into your soup broth and they're ready to heat and eat. And then for that soup dinner option, we also decided to pre-cook some noodles. Q likes to do this anyway for his meal preps. He just likes to batch cook a bunch of noodles and cooks them al dente so that when he reheats them in the soup broth, it only takes a couple minutes. And so that's what he wanted to do for this camping trip as well, which worked out perfectly. And this is because I knew we had access to a stove. If I thought we were just doing all over the fire cooking, it probably would have changed our menu plan a little bit. But our friends were already bringing a stove, so we simply just brought a pot with us, and that's how we were able to heat up our soup. And for dessert, I decided to make some oatmeal chocolate chip cookies because these are a favorite amongst our friends. Even our non-vegan friends absolutely love these cookies. And I do have a full recipe video for these cookies, which I will link down below in case you want to check it out. So this is everything we had in our cooler. We of course had the watermelon, soup noodles, vegan turkey and cheese, some corn to roast in the fire, lettuce and pickles for our sandwiches, and some olives just for snacking, the orzo salad, onions and cabbage for the soup, and some yogurt for Q's breakfast, which actually just needed to be used up, my overnight oats, vegan hot dogs for roasting on the fire, cut strawberries for breakfast, and then more watermelon, veggies, and grapes for snacking. I also brought some things that didn't need to be refrigerated, such as the cookies that I had made, also some granola for Q's breakfast, which I just served with some vegan yogurt, and some bananas. Bananas are great for travel, actually, because they don't need to be refrigerated and they're individually wrapped and they make a great snack. And then I also brought some bouillon powder to make into soup. This is super convenient because you can just add boiling water and have instant soup broth. And then of course I just brought some snacky things like chips and pretzels and vegan marshmallows, because what is camping without marshmallows over the fire? And so now on to what I will do differently for next time. There are just a few problems that I encountered. Number one is the lack of refrigeration. Like, I knew going into it that the cooler wasn't gonna be that big, and a cooler doesn't stay that cold for that many days. We were actually only camping for 2 nights and we were able to get ice halfway through, so it wasn't too big of a problem, but I did overpack a little bit on the refrigerated items. Next time I will bring a lot more shelf-stable items and not have to worry so much about getting ice right away and making sure those cold items stay cold. Which actually brings me to my next point, which is just overpacking food in general. Usually when I do my meal preps, I plan out how many servings per person per day are going to be needed, and for camping, I was just a little bit worried that we were gonna run out of food or that we were going to be hungry because I didn't have access to like my regular kitchen. And I was just like, what are we gonna do if we don't have enough food? We're gonna be starving. So I did overplan a little bit, and that probably wasn't necessary. For my next trip, I will go back to my regular routine of planning meal quantities. Which brings me to my next point, which is basically just to simplify the meals in general. I think that I wanted to have a lot of meal variety throughout the days, so I planned different lunches and dinners on each day, which just creates a lot more ingredients and really isn't necessary. It would have been totally fine to eat the same lunch and the same dinner 2 days in a row, which we did do with breakfast. So for next time, I will definitely simplify our menus and just eat the same thing on both breakfasts, both lunches, and both dinners. So with all that said, it was still a really fun trip. I would love to go again next year. I will be much more prepared for all the meal prep and meal planning for our camping food. And if you are looking for any of the recipes that I mentioned in this video, I will link them all in the description box down below. And with that, let's eat plants, and I'll see you guys next time.